Good morning, students. Let us start the new lesson, electricity. You know that in our everyday life, electricity is very important, isn't it? So, if you take an atom or the movement of an atom, there are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Actually, what is electricity? Electricity is nothing but it is the movement of electrons. Electricity is nothing but it is the movement of electrons. And generates an energy called as electric energy or electricity. Nowadays, in each and every home appliances, we need electricity. Without the electricity, we are not able to do any work. In that situation, we are reached. And you are studying the atomic structure lesson that each and every atom consists of protons, electrons, and neutrons. And in that, protons and neutrons will be having the positive charges, and the electrons will be having always the negative charges, and the electrons revolve around the nucleus in different parts called as orbits. These all you have already studied in your atomic structure lesson. And see here the atom model also is shown how the electrons are revolving in its orbit, and the protons and neutrons are in the middle in the nucleus, and they will be having the neutrons will be having neutral charges, and the protons will be having the positive charges. And here in this lesson we are going to study about the charges. So charges or electric charge is a basic property of matter that causes object to attract or repel. That means a positive and a negative charge, always it will attract, but two positives or two negatives, always it will repel each other. So a proton and an electron, always it will be having a tendency of attraction, but two electrons will be having always the tendency of repelling. So protons always carry the positive charge and the electrons carry the negative charge. There is a force of attraction or repulsion between the charges. Unlike charges and like charges repel each other. Unlike charges means it is a positive and the negative charges, and like charges means two positive and two negative. So electric charges is measured in coulomb. So the unit of electric charge is coulomb. Small amount of charge that can exist freely is called as elementary charge, and its value is 1.0602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. So electric charges, the electric charge is measured in the unit coulomb, and 1 coulomb is equal to 1.602 into 10 raised to 19. This is the amount of charge possessed by each protons and electrons. So what is an electric charge? The amount of charge possessed by an electron is called a elementary charge, and the electrons have negatively elementary charge, and the protons will be having the positive electric charge, and neutrons always it will be neutral. Okay, so these all you have already studied in the atomic structure lesson. Then how this transfer of charges takes place? These charges can be taken from the substance which gains electrons becomes negatively charged. Okay, this also you have learned. So the substance which gains electrons, it will be negatively charged, and the atom or the substance which loses the electrons, which will become always the positive charge. So this is the just continuation of the atomic structure lesson, so it will be easy for you to understand. Transfer of charges takes place in the following ways. How this transfer of charges takes place? When there is a friction between two bodies, when there is two friction, that time the transfer of electrons takes place. Okay. When there is conduction means the solid substance, the heat conduction from a hot region to a lower region, that is called as conduction. Transfer by induction, that also between the liquids, okay, or between the solids, that is called as induction. So these are the three cases where there will be exchange of charges taking place. Now first we are going to study about the transfer by friction. In that they are given one activity: take a comb and place it near some pieces of paper. Are they attracted by the comb? How? Yes, definitely it will be attracted. When we take the comb and rub on our head and we will keep near to the bits of paper, the comb will attract that bits of paper. That is because of the friction. The rubbing, it gets charged. The comb becomes charged, and because of that charged particles, it will attract the bits of paper. Comb rubbed with hair gains electrons from the hair and becomes negatively charged. These electrons accumulated on the surface of the comb. When a piece of paper is teared into bits, positive and negative charges are present in the edges of the bits. So the negatively charged comb, what will happen? It will attract the positively charged proton. So some bits of paper will be attracted by the comb. This is because they are wanted to explain this activity, because this is due to friction. When the comb is rubbed on the hairs, the charges, they are getting the charges on the comb, the negative charges, and they attract the positive bits of paper, which are the protons. Okay. Hence, rubbing certain materials with one another can cause build-up of electrical charges on the surface. So, by this is the example by friction how the electric charges are attained in the comb by rubbing. Okay. So, next is the transfer by conduction and transfer by induction. Then, do you know a neutral object can become positive charge when electrons get transferred to another object, not by receiving extra positive charges. Now, similar effect can be seen when we rub few materials with one another. When a glass rod is rubbed with a silk cloth, the free electrons in the glass rod are transferred to the silk cloth. It is because the free electrons in the glass rod are less tightly bound as compared to that in the silk cloth. So, they are given the next example. Then again they are given with the ebonite rod. When rubbed with fur, the same thing. The transfer electrons from the ebonite rod, because the electrons in the outermost orbit of the atoms in the fur are loosely bound, and it will get transferred. Because of that also again it will get a negative charge, and the fur, which is definitely of electrons, is positively charged. So 3 examples they have shown how transfer of charges takes place by friction. Then the next one they are saying by the conduction. In that, do you know, if a positive charge glass rod is brought near another glass rod, the rods will move about by the repel each other. If a positive charge glass rod is brought close to the negatively charged ebonite rod, the rods will move towards each other as they attract. The force of attraction repulsion is greater when the charged objects are closer. So, then they are showing about the activity of the transfer by conduction. When an ebonite rod is rubbed with woolen cloth, electrons from the woolen cloth are transferred to the ebonite rod. So, from the ebonite rod, the electrons are transferred to the silk cloth. Is brought near the paper cylinder. Negatively charges in the rod are attracted by the positive charges in the cylinder. When the cylinder is touched by the rod, some negative charges are transferred to the paper. Hence, the negative charges in the rod are repelled by the negative charges of the cylinder. The same thing again they have shown by the rubbing of the ebonite rod with the fur or a wool or a silk cloth. The negative charge particles will get from the fur, it will reach to the ebonite rod and it will attract, and that is by conduction. Okay. Now next of that is they are explaining about the induction. We saw that we can charge an uncharged object when we touch it by a charged object, but it is also possible to obtain charges in a body without any contact. So ebonite rod and wool was by contact. Now next they are saying, or by friction. Next they are saying without getting touched to each other also they get charged. The process of charging an uncharged body by bringing a charged body near to without touching is called as induction. The uncharged body occurs on a positive charge at the near end and the similar charges at the further end, which is near to the near to that object, it will be having the positive charge, and the other side which is far away from that object, that will be the negative charge. And without touching itself or without coming in contact itself, it gets activated. Bring a negative charge plastic rod near the neutral rod. When the negative charge plastic rod is brought close to the neutral rod, the free electrons move away due to repulsion and start piling up at the further end. The near end becomes positive charge due to the deficit of electrons. While the neutral rod is grounded, the negative charges flow to the ground. The positive charges at the near end remain held due to the attractive forces, and the electrons inside the metal become zero. When the rod is removed from the ground, the positive charges continue to be held at the near end. This makes the neutral rod positive charge rod. Similarly, when a positive charge rod is brought near an uncharged rod, negative charge electrons are attracted towards it. As a result, there is excess of electrons at nearer end and deficiency of electrons at the farther end. The nearer end of the uncharged rod becomes negative charge and the far end is positive charge. They are saying that when we bring a plastic rod near to a neutral body which is charged, the plastic rod which is nearer to the charged body, it will be having the negative charges, and the further side, the other side, it will be having the positive charges. So which is having the negative charges, it will has a tendency to attract towards the charged body, and the other side, it will, which is positive charge, it will be away from the so charged particles all will come closer to the negatively charged area, and the other will be in the further area. Okay, so this is the next class we'll go for the flow of charges. Thank you, students.